Hello and welcome to Transformation Now. I'm Rita Rocker Kraft with SoaringHigher.rocks, and I'm so happy to have you join me today. We're going to be talking a lot about the success-driven mind, and it comes from material out of two of my books, Creating Your Own Destiny, and that's Mind, Body, and Spirit. And then the other one is my new book that's at the printers, and that is Shaping Your Future, Becoming the Brand Everyone Wants. And so I'll be sharing with you from these two books today. And you know, success-driven minds, there's a lot to that. And especially with things as hard as they are in the world right now, sometimes we get kind of pushed down a little bit. So I want to share some good things with you. You know, it's easy to live down to those self-fulfilling prophecies or things that people have said, parents, teachers, or others, and those words can really stick to us, and behaviorals can make us either fearful or cause us to say, nope, I'm going to change now, I want a new life. And so I'll be reading little passages and then talking to you in between about the information in this book. One thing I learned years ago is that destructive patterns were, things that were controlling my life and controlled so many people's lives, but it's like, no, we do not have to live that way. We do not have to live with the destructive patterns that maybe we grew up with or we were surrounded by so much, maybe family and friends, and so that was just normal. Well, no, that does not have to be anymore. You know, no one's opinion or careless words or thoughts have the right to determine who we are, what our value is, and what our future will be. So it's just careless actions, and I think sometimes they don't even realize how much damage it could do a person the entire rest of their lives. But there's a way to get out of that, and I've seen so many amazing stories of what people have gone through, and yet they've come out to the other side being extremely successful. And I've shared some of those with you in the past, and I will do that again. You know, I talk here about the mental tapes and individuals saying things to us and how they plant in our mental tapes. But we have a choice. And when I realized that a while back, I thought, you know what? I do have a choice. We all have a choice as to whether we will actually accept it or say, no, I don't accept that anymore. No, I have a choice, and I'm choosing not to believe those things, not to believe what I'm hearing, even with the news, all of those things. I'm choosing not to let that affect me and the rest of my life. So that's where we intentionally seek new friends, classes, new positive affirmations that help us move in a very different direction from maybe, where you are right now, even if it's just in one area. The massive amount of motivational communications on the internet is also very helpful because we can actually go in there and click on motivational, inspirational messages. Sometimes when I'm really discouraged and down, I will go on YouTube and play Christian music or very inspirational, relaxing music instead of the really hyper music. And it really does give me peace and settle down. And so I would recommend that you think about doing that too. It really, really does help. You know, your brain and the power of belief and the effect it has on us is everything. It's everything. And so what I said here is it's a scientific fact that the power of belief can cause our brain and our entire body to become a certain way. The mental tapes are listening. What are the mental tapes that you're listening to right now? Are they good? Are they positive? Or are they negative and maybe hurtful or destructive? Because of all the destruction that I had in my life, I really understand the difference between the two, and there is a big difference. You know, how many of those thoughts need to be pulled out and crushed and thrown in the trash? Probably a lot of them for several of you out there. And it's like, nope, we're not going to do that anymore. So I said, stop to think about where you are now and what thoughts and experiences are there that you've had. Do you still hear any of the following mental tapes playing in your mind? And, what kind of damage could they be doing? One's like, well, you'll never amount to anything. You're not worth anything. Who do you think you are? You're never going to make it and be successful in this life. And, oh, you have nothing to offer. And so that plants in our minds, and sometimes we think, oh my gosh, I really don't have anything to offer. But yes, you do. We all do. We're made in God's image. We have so much to offer. And so if you're feeling like a failure or something like that, or maybe you're in a financial crisis, just know that you have value, you worth, and as you think of a new life, a new set of behaviors, a new set of thoughts, and let those take over, your life will transition. And so a lot of times, well, I don't know what to do anymore. Yes, you can pray about that and you will have some direction. You know, I wrote here, when we are not happy with ourselves, we tend to subconsciously, and quite often it is subconsciously, draw abusive, critical people to us that keep reaffirming that we're no good or that we're failures. Okay, that happens. But those are the thoughts that keep attracting more harmful circumstances. When we think that, we just keep attracting more of it. We give off an energy in our body and our face, and people will feel that energy. So, you know, if somebody says something that's very angry and yet their body looks really angry, you know they're very angry. If someone says something nice, but you can tell in their body signals that they don't mean what they say, watch the body signals. The energy, you can feel that energy come off of them. And so always check your energy. You know, a lot of times if we're upset about something and we go into a room and we get together with people and we have this anger energy in us, they will feel that. And sometimes it pushes people away. So always check your energy, especially when you're with a group of people or even one other person, whether it's family or whether it's in your career, because that makes a difference. You know, there's a proverb that says, he who walks with the wise grows wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm. And I know in my life I was a companion to many destructive things, and it caused much harm. And so we have to know who we should be walking with, and those that will build us up and not to tear us down. That's so important. And so it says, when you set your intentions for new friends, they do begin showing up. I've prayed several times for new friends, and guess what? God was faithful to bring them around. So set your intentions for new friends if that's what you need, ones that will build you up, that are maybe in the career area that you want to be in if you're not in that area now, and it will happen. It does come to you. Surround yourself with people, events, and life-building programs to set you firmly on a new foundation. Doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And replace any of those negative thoughts with ones that counteract it. So every time you think, oh gosh, every time I open my mouth I say something wrong, or I just feel like such a reject, or gosh, I don't have any money and all these other people have so many nice things. No, I'm confident, I'm capable, I'm a child of God, I have a very successful mindset, I'm driven to go forward, and I can do it. I choose, that big word, I choose to do it. I will never allow people to bring me down again, because I choose to go the successful route. You know, you kind of take it like a prescription every day as far as what you're allowing into your mind, and even food-wise into your body. So we have a choice, and we can make the right choices. And I also wrote in here, the more you visualize a stronger, more confident, and prosperous vision of your natural self, your body will actually start going that way. It will start working on that. I've worked on some health issues lately, and as I'm trying to concentrate more on what I should be doing, it's definitely making a difference. So think about that. Daily causes of confusion, a lot of times inability to focus. No, that's unacceptable to remain that part of our life. And so we think about that going forward. Ever look at a package of flower seeds and see how beautiful those flowers are on the outside? It's like, wow, I'd love to have these in my yard or in my home. They're beautiful. And so I'm going to get all these packets of flower seeds. And so you take them and you open up the packet, and what do you see? Do you see those beautiful flowers? Nope. You see these little tiny dried up brown seeds. And so it's like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. But you bury them in the ground. And sometimes we feel like that, like we're kind of buried, we're all alone, there's nobody around, and then the rains come down and, you know, pound down those little seeds, and it feels kind of bad and lonely if it had a brain. But as this happens, and it's nurtured, it's fed the right chemicals, it's given water, it's given care, the weeds or the negative things around it are pulled out and pulled away, what happens? They start to bloom and grow out of the ground into beautiful flowers. And so that's what happens with us a lot of times. We may start out where we have to kind of redesign ourselves. And I've been thinking, because of things that are going on in the world right now, what happens sometimes, think about a kitchen. When you remodel a kitchen, what has to happen first? We have to get rid of the old shelves, the old cupboards, things like that. And sometimes in our lives, it's the same thing. So think about that kitchen. We're letting go of things, taking things away to bring in new and beautiful things. So remember that kitchen. That has really helped me a lot. And so think, well, I can get on a new exercise program. I can do that on the internet. I don't have to spend any money on that. I can get on organizations where there are Zoom calls so I can communicate with people, make new friends, listen to new programs that will help me. And so there's a lot of things that you can do right now while we're still kind of in a, sequestered mode, and that will really help you. So don't hide away, but bring yourself out little by little. Groucho Marx, some people that are a little bit older will remember him, and he and his brothers, the Marx brothers, were quite hilarious. They were really funny. I think if you watch old movies from back in probably the 30s or 40s, I guess, you will see these crazy guys in those movies. But Groucho was actually extremely intelligent, and I love what he said. He said, "Each morning when I open my eyes, I say to myself, I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead and tomorrow has not arrived yet. I just have one day today, and I'm going to make it happy." And so I think about that, a lot with Groucho Marx. It was a decision, no matter what was happening, to go forward. And so when you allow yourself to go through life-transforming metamorphosis, which actually means a striking change in appearance, character, or circumstances, usually by supernatural means, which I believe is God, it is because you either realize that you've grown too much to stay in that position any longer, you no longer want it, it's not part of your life anymore, or you cannot allow yourself to suffocate in a constricting cocoon any longer. It's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to soar. And we're going to do it this time. I choose to. And I'm going to allow the good things to come into my life. And so others can help you or hurt you, which is very true, but they cannot actually be your self-respect and your self-esteem. That is up to you to work on and to constantly know what value and worth you have, how precious you are. And so think about that. And the best way to do that is to constantly speak positive confessions to yourself, and as many times as you can, speak them out loud. Because once you hear yourself speaking that, it gets more into your heart and into your mind. And then journal every day. A positive mental attitude, as I put here, in order to keep that, it says carefully assess how many other influences, all those things around you, and influencers, which would be all the people and that are around you, have in your life, whether it's in your career, your family, your associates, your organizations, because many of them we may try to emulate. And by that I mean, oh, well, they're successful and this is what they do, so I need to do the same thing. Well, to a point, yes. I mean, if you see characteristics in a person is why they're strong and they're confident, do that. I mean, you can emulate good manners, you can emulate confidence in how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, how you speak, because maybe you're taking some classes or learning a lot that way. But we also don't want to emulate things about them that maybe aren't us. Like if they're a successful sports figure, or they're Miss America, or they happen to be the CEO of a successful company, but that's not you. You don't want to try to emulate parts of them that aren't really who you are. But take the successful pieces of them, great personalities, that they're kind, they're caring, but they're strong and they're confident. We can emulate those and work towards that, but just because a parent said, no, I want you to be a successful football player, baseball player, or I want you to be a doctor or a lawyer or a scientist, You have to be who you are, but you can emulate all the successful characteristics of a person who maybe is in a whole different, kind of career than you are. So you can think of it that way. And, because you don't want to emulate that for sure. Okay, and then also we don't want to allow negative attitudes to sway our thoughts. So sometimes when a person is just kind of cantankerous and that's just the way they are, we need to accept them for that, but we don't need to agree with things that they may say or do that we don't like or we don't agree with. But try to be as accepting to people as you can in the state that they're in. Sometimes I've seen people that were really kind of beaten down and cranky and everything else, and then when I found out what they've been through in their life, I understood. And so then I would have compassion for them instead. However, that's when we can take what we've learned and help them to get out of that and to see how valuable they are. Because sometimes people are that way because that's what they think they are is worthless. Probably one of the most important words that we need to go against is unworthy. And I've heard that over and over again from people who have, given testimonies, is unworthiness. No, you're very worthy. You're a child of God. You're priceless. And so you always want to remember that. But sometimes that will help us understand why someone else is the way they are and helps us to look at them in a different light. Condition your mind each morning to keep positive under any circumstances. So I think, a lot of times even before we get out of bed, think of, okay, what might happen today? I've got a meeting. These people don't agree with what I'm doing. Or, I know when the kids come home, we have to have a family meeting. Or my spouse has been angry. And, think of what might happen that day so that you can already go, okay, how can I handle this in a positive manner? How can I keep my cool, show compassion, but yet maybe be firm, be confident, my shoulders are back, my chin is up, and I'm really going to be coming up maybe with resolutions as to what I think would help, to alleviate a situation that's not good. So think in your mind, okay, these things could come up today, not to be negative in mind, but to prepare ahead of time. How, instead of maybe reacting with hurt or anger or frustration or, gee, I don't know what to do about it, actually coming up with ideas, coming up with resolutions, coming up with how you're going to present yourself and how you're going to speak out of your mouth. And it can really make a difference from shouting back at someone to being very confident and handling it that way and saying, nope, I'm strong and I'm smart and this is the way I'm going to handle it. So I encourage you with that. A lot of times, too, it's important to steer conversations in maybe a different direction. You are with a bunch of people, and they're all, really going off on something and getting negative. That's the time to pull back and not say anything if it's really negative or it's going to be damaging to a person or a situation. And then, when you can, change the subject. Think of things that are positive to bring more positive, better energy into the group, into the room, and always try to pull over to the positive. I know right now there's a lot of things going on that are pretty crazy, but there again, I'm trying to look at God, look at positive things, and trust Him, and that makes all the difference in the world. Recognize that every circumstance, positive or negative, helps us to grow stronger. If you look at somebody when they're practicing, maybe they join the Marines, and so they're in the Marines, and you see them climbing up this big old wall, and sometimes people, have to give them a boost from behind or, their foot, and then you see them like crawling under wires and all these kind of things. Okay, it's hard. So many things in our life are really, really hard, and they take a lot of time and they take a lot of work to accomplish something or to get out of something where we need to get out of. However, how are we after? We're so much stronger. We're stronger each time, and I want you to look at the strength that you have built up as you've taken these steps to go forward. Never discount all the strength. Things were bad, but I'm stronger now. Yay, and go on from there. And think about the muscles that you're building up mentally as well as physically and emotionally. And so I want to encourage you with that. And throughout the day, remember that you have the ability to control your mind. Okay? You have the ability to control your mind and tell it what you're going to believe, what you're going to do, and what you're not going to believe and do. So always think of that. Accept constructive, that's the key word, constructive criticism. And I remember when I worked at a company years ago and I was teaching at a modeling school, but I was working at a job at the Labor Department, and so when the lady who owned the school, who critiqued me to pieces, she called and she says, "My goodness, you sound so unprofessional." And at first I was a little offended, a little hurt, but then I started listening to myself. I swallowed my pride, started listening to myself, and went, "Oh my gosh, she's right, I am very unprofessional in my sound." And so I was very careful to listen after that, how I sounded with people on the phone. And so always accept constructive criticism if it's something to help you to grow and to learn. I know, like Dancing with the Stars, they'll tell them things that would help them to be better. That's a good thing. But if it's destructive criticism, you know where that goes, in the file 13 in the trash. And so always differentiate between constructive and destructive criticism, and that will help. So again, don't accept anything from anybody who's not for your greater good. That is so critical. And then there are two types of circumstances that cause us to worry: those that we can do something about and those we cannot. And so really think, is there something I can do about this? Can I move away from this situation? Can I help somebody? What can I do that will help? Or is this something where, you know what, nothing that I do is going to make a difference? Then instead of worrying about it, we need to start feeding our seeds again and letting them grow, and then just move forward. But you can always pray about it too. So think about that. Zig Ziglar was still is, he's deceased now, a famous motivational, inspirational speaker. And he said, you cannot tailor-make the situations in life, but you can tailor-make the attitudes to fit those situations. And that is so important. We can keep our attitude so it will fit that situation and go, I can help here, I can let go there, whatever the case may be. Think about that and let your attitude fit, but in a positive way. Also, since we train our minds to focus on the negative, we can also reprogram our minds for the positive, because it's a fascinating mental machinery up here that will guide our lives. And so we want to leave those self-defeating memories and thoughts and circumstances and focus, turn around. Even today, even this morning, I had several really negative things pop into my head that could have made me angry, that could have hurt me. And I'm like, nope. And so I thought, I'm working on this too, where it's like, no, I don't choose to think on that anymore or focus on that. This is the direction I'm going, and I changed my thoughts. So it takes a little practice, but it's definitely worth it. And so Henry Ford from Ford Automobile said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so again, what you think you can do, you can do. I mean, when I see people playing the violin with their feet, and a lady who didn't have even a shoulder anymore because it had been taken off from an accident, playing the violin by moving her shoulder around. I see a lady with no arms, and she's caring for her baby, and she's even driving a car. So, when we think of those things, when we think we can or we can't, we are right. And so, always remember that. George Bernard Shaw, he was a famous playwright, political activist. He was involved in all kinds of things, very, very famous, last century. And he said, life isn't about finding yourself. It's about creating yourself. So it's like, oh gosh, where am I? What do I do next? I gotta find myself. No, it's creating yourself. Sitting down, really thinking, preferably writing in a notebook, and I have a lot of that in my new book too, about your plan, your blueprint. You are the architect of your own life. And so what kind of a life do you want to create? Not that you have to accept, but that you want to create. And start writing those things down. And it may look like it's totally impossible at this point in your life to be able to do that, but it's not. And you can create and start step by step by step by step. And it really does work. I know my life was so destructive and down in the dumps, and I thought, I can't do this anymore. And you pray about it, and God gives you the steps, this step, so that you can go forward. So think about that, unlocking the inner architect to reprogram your mind. And you think of brain jitsu. I'll talk about that more in the next program. We know what jujitsu is. It's being able to take down an opponent, to control if something's harming you in any way. Well, we can do brain jitsu. And again, I'll talk to you about that next time, and have a resilient human spirit where we're going to take the thoughts in our brain where we have flipped them into what's good, what's positive, what will bring us up. And so unlock that inner architect and reprogram your mind. Don't deny yourself. Please don't deny yourself. Develop yourself a little bit more each day. Those thoughts when you wake up and those thoughts when you go to sleep, positive ones. The one who has the most power to change your life is the one that you see every day in the mirror. And so I just want to encourage you with that. Next time we'll talk about brain jitsu and how to flip those thoughts around even more. And so I wish you all the best, and have a blessed week, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.